I call to order the January meeting of the Open Source Voting System Technical Advisory Committee of the San Francisco Elections Commission. Today is Thursday, January 10th, 2019, and the time is now 6:05 p.m. I am the Chair, Chris Giordano. Secretary Chan, can you take the roll?
Chair Bruce Giordano.
Here.
Giordano present. Member Carl Haig.
Here.
Haig present. Member Rowan Catal has not arrived. Member Brandon Phillips has not arrived. Member Tony Washington. Chairman present. You have a quorum.
Okay, Member Catal has informed me that he may be arriving later, but it's not clear yet. And I haven't heard from Member Phillips. Okay, next item.
Item 2, general public comment. Public comment on any issue within the committee's general jurisdiction that is not covered by another item on this agenda.
Okay, we don't have any members of the public observing today, so next item.
Item 3, open source voting project plan. Discussion and possible action regarding the plan for the open source voting system project.
Okay, so this item was more of a placeholder. I wasn't sure if Director Giroux was going to be able to attend today, and she wasn't able to attend mainly because she's been working diligently on budget documents. So, but I did attach the latest project update she distributed to the commission at the December meeting of the Elections Commission. So we can spend a few minutes talking about that. And the highlight, at least to me, is that she did hire two different people for the project team. And she hired, and there's a page about it in this packet, Sean Roberts, who is the technical project lead. He's a full-time. And then Michael Kelly is going to be assisting part-time. And I think you've all had a chance to look at that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we going to get Sean to come join us tonight?
I sure hope so. Yeah, well, actually, when I spoke with Linda, or emailed Linda, I mentioned to her that, Sean could come as well, but I think they might still be ramping up. I'm not really sure.
So I take it Michael Kelly's kind of more like organizing things and
Yeah, more just,
planning timelines, and Sean is more implementation oriented.
yeah. Well, I think Sean might be doing, yeah, that's right. And then Michael Kelly is the one that's more of a part-time. Maybe as a contract, I'm not sure, contract basis. So these two people were both brought on as part of the single interviewing process. So I think at some point they must have decided that they want to have two people. So, I'm personally very, very happy with who they chose.
Yeah.
Really, really happy about it. And especially with all the experience direct experience Sean has with open source.
And he has a strong reputation in the open source community.
Great, yeah, that's great. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, just, he was one of the people starting the OpenStack Foundation, which came out of NASA, and he's been involved with the OSI. And I know that Patrick Masson, who's the general manager of the OSI, was very pleased about this. So, yeah.
Had you ever met Sean before?
We've been in the same place at the same time. I'm not 100% sure that we've actually formally met.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. I'm hoping that we can meet one or both of them as early as possible. So, and then the other thing that Linda had mentioned at the commission meeting is that one of the first things, and this is highlighted in this page here,
Yep.
they're basically kind of assessing what is currently out there in terms of open source components. I think they just want to make sure that they're familiar with everything so that nothing's going to be reinvented that doesn't need to be. But hopefully that Sean is aware of the document that we put together. I'm sure he would I'm sure you would be looking at that. So, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this item, but does anyone want to say anything further? No? Do you want a little bit more time, or just move on?
I think the chart is the same methodology, approach and methodology
Yeah, I think
as
so.
the previous one.
I think so. There was
Project teams.
difference, but I don't remember exactly. There was some small difference that Director Giral had mentioned at the meeting, and I can't remember what it was.
I'm guessing that as soon as Mike and Sean are up to speed, that they will make their own plan.
Yeah.
It may or may not resemble what's there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, everything is always up for, nothing's set in stone, I think. That's the way these things work. Okay. Carl, anything else? Okay, so seeing no members of the public, there's no public comments. Next item.
Item 4, approval of minutes of previous meeting. Discussion and possible action to approve minutes for the December 6, 2018 committee meeting.
Okay, so I did get this out late again, so I'll give both of you as much time as you need to review the minutes.
I want to commend the author of these minutes for doing such a good job of explaining voting system security and
Did it make sense?
digital
Yeah.
keys and all of the material in section 6.
Yeah, this was very, very light editing on my part, a couple of things, so thank you again, Secretary Chiang.
Oh, no
That's not
problem.
work.
It's still great to me.
I was very, very happy to. I think there was even a couple of things that I didn't even know about.
I always have to do extensive Google searches to find out.
I read it over quickly and I didn't notice anything miss.
And then were there references to the open chain and the to-do group, is that correct?
Yes, those are both correct. In fact, I just got an email from the chair of the Open Chain Project yesterday. They had produced a document, and I was one of the people asked to comment on it. So apparently they accepted some of my suggestions.
Okay. All right, so are there any edits, or would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I so moved.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right. Seeing no members of the public, no public comments, further discussion, seeing none, Secretary Chiang?
Chair Giordano.
Yes.
Giordano, yes. Member Hague?
Yes.
Hague, yes. Member Wasserman?
Yes.
Wasserman, yes. With a vote of 3-0, motion carried.
Okay, great. Next item.
Item 5, administration, discussion and possible action regarding administrative issues, including but not limited to attendance at the Elections Commission meeting by committee members, committee's website, and the committee's written reports to the commission.
Okay, so let's start out by taking care of our next meeting date.
It's all on February the 14th, Valentine's Day.
Okay.
If you can survive that with your significant other, you can still have your meeting.
Yeah, so we don't have two of our members to be here to say whether they can attend, but is this,
Second Tuesday.
Well, I don't have a
Thursday.
Valentine this year, so it's not a big deal.
okay.
You want to do
Yeah,
an
see.
email poll and see?
Yeah, we'll stick with it for now, and we could always change.
But I would mention to the assembled multitude that I will not be here on March 14th.
Okay,
So that whole week I have to go to Pittsburgh.
we could do like a Valentine exchange, will you be mine? Okay, so then we'll stick with that. And then, so I gave a brief report to the commission at the last commission meeting because Member Phillips wasn't able to attend. I think he was traveling. And who would like to, would either of you like to attend the next commission meeting? It's
That's
next
it.
Wednesday.
20th, next Wednesday.
First day of class for me, I'd rather not. I could, but if nobody else can. But I prefer to volunteer for February.
Okay, then let's,
That's the 20th, right?
I'm sorry, on the 16th of January, I'm sorry, I was looking at.
Yeah, the 20th of February.
That's correct.
okay, so let's do that. We'll mark it down tentatively for February, and then I'll take care of January unless Member Phillips is able to attend. Yeah, so in terms of my reappointment to the commission, I did submit an application to the Board of Supervisors. And the way it works is the Rules Committee of the Board of Supervisors is the one that, makes the recommendation that we should be reappointed. But the president of the Board of Supervisors was only chosen a few days ago, I think. Yeah, 2 days ago. And then so the president needs to appoint who the members of the Rules Committee are. So it's not even known who's on the committee yet. So just to keep you informed of that. And then the next item is our written report to the commission. And I did draft something up today. And it's Secretary Chan printed it out. And it was a little bit longer. As I was typing it up, there was kind of more mention than I thought. There's one thing that I thought of that I think we should add, and that's a section basically saying that we created the project page that the civil grand jury wanted us to make, and I think it would be worth just mentioning that in its own, and just basically have a link to that page.
Right. So now, since the hiring of the project manager is a fait accompli, does it make sense to itemize all these questions that are on page 2? Or can we just say that TAC voted and approved a series of questions to be submitted to DT?
Well, we could do it that way. The one thing though is that the questions that we voted on were never made public to anyone because we decided to kind of keep them where.
Right, but is there a need to make them public at this point, or is that something that simply is moot at this point?
Well, I think it's more to give the commissioners a chance to see the questions. So to kind of show them that we actually thought this through and think it through.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, they're not going to be useful for anything. It's more just a report on what we came up with.
Okay.
But I appreciate all of you looking this over because, like with the voting system development, I was pretty brief there. I don't know if maybe I forgot any of your activities. I put that you had attended one of the pre-election activities.
I mean, the machine learning for visual image interpretation, I'm not sure how far along that is.
I think he was just thinking about it.
Yeah, it said,
But
also
I
began
have done quite a lot
exploring.
of work on the data converters,
I mean, there's some,
Well, if you want
visualizing data, so
if you want to expand on anything, feel free.
I mean-
I'm happy to add more verbiage.
Member Wasserman also began exploring, pick your topic.
Well, he did write. He actually checked in some code. So
I
it's
know.
fine.
Okay.
It's But like I said, if you want to scale anything back or add language,
No.
I'm happy to.
I think it's important to include the contributor license agreements.
Looks pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay. And were there any activities that you were involved in that, aside from the development, that
So,
you think?
Mostly just data conversion.
Okay.
may I just make one
Yeah.
suggestion on verbiage?
Uh-huh.
Where you wrote, Chair Giordano began discussing the issue with,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to Chair Giordano discussed the issue with, just the,
Well, it's because it's an ongoing thing, that's why it's, I'm kind of like waiting on them,
okay.
so that's why that's there.
I have nothing more to add, I'm happy with what you wrote.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And then, so when we make the motion, just to clarify, I'd like to add a section saying something, called something like civil grand jury report, and then just have a sentence or two saying that TAC posted a project page as, to fulfill the request of the civil.
Well, that's a good idea.
And then have a link to that.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. Okay, would someone like to make the motion? To adopt?
I move that we approve it.
Second.
Okay. Seeing no members of the public, no public comments. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Secretary Chen?
Chair Giordano?
Yes?
Giordano, yes. Member Hay?
Yes.
Yes. Member Washington?
Yes.
Washington, yes. 3-0, motion carries.
Okay. Is there anything else in terms of administration that you can think of? Secretary Chen? No?
So, one question. Is it appropriate for us to personally invite Sean and Mike rather than have it go through the administrative channels?
That's a good question. Personally, I think we should go through through Director Giroux. But there's nothing stopping you from reaching out to like anyone individually if you wanted to. Just remember that if you do that, don't represent yourself as representing the committee. But I think it wouldn't be appropriate for us to kind of try to invite them without going through Director Giroux.
I was thinking for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Okay, so then, anything else? Okay, let's move on to Secretary Chen.
Item 6, member reports. Member reports on committee-related activities not covered by another item on this agenda, including but not limited to the last Elections Commission meeting, Department of Elections progress, research findings, conferences, and news reports.
Okay, so for this one, we'll keep the development work, postpone that, that'll be under number 8. So on this one, would anyone like to start with any like activities you've done in
So this is the last week to submit a proposal for OSCOM, the O'Reilly-sponsored open source conference. And I think it would be appropriate for us to try to get a slot. It's in Portland the third week in July, the Wednesday and Thursday.
which Portland?
Oregon.
Oregon, okay. Would you like to do that?
I can, but if it's accepted, I would like to have at least one other person come along.
Do you have to know that today?
Nope.
Well, I think, do you have an opinion on that?
I mean, because,
I'm not sure I'm in a position to go, but I mean, it's.
yeah, no, I mean, it might be
fine
that, I mean, I would expect someone like Sean
Oh, I
to
see.
typically go to that kind of a meeting, but it's a question of getting a slot on the program.
Well, why don't you apply, and then I'm sure between Sean and Rowan and me.
Yeah, and the acceptance rate is very low
Okay.
on these proposals, so,
Hmm.
Yeah.
you know, we'll,
Is this the same one that you applied for last year too, or?
no, I think it was the Linux Foundation Conference last year,
Okay.
which I may try again this year, depending on, you know.
Yeah, why don't, okay, so, I mean, if it would help, maybe if we could take a vote and then you could apply sort of as a member of the committee, maybe that can put a little bit more.
Well, I could also put in the abstract that, you know, that we may have to bring additional people who could discuss both technical and logistical aspects of, and of course, get an up-to-date progress report.
Okay,
So what would the gist of the presentation be?
You get a 40-minute slot. So, you know, I think OSCON is pretty hardcore open source people. I mean, these are people who get out from behind their desk and get out to the sunlight now and then, but it's not as hardcore as FOSDEM, which is next month in Brussels. Those people never get out into the sun. But you know, I think there's a lot of interest here and there and everywhere about potentially about what we're doing. So
So
just
what
an
would you do, like
overview.
give us a summary of what's in our project recommendations? So-
Well, you could start with the history and the things that we've recommended, and if we get somebody from DT, then, you know, to talk about where they are and,
I mean, I think it would be to an audience that doesn't know anything about San Francisco's projects, so it can be pretty broad.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be only limited to our work.
yeah, and, which is right, we need to talk about
Well,
what.
if you're gonna make a proposal like this, so I wondered what you might put in it.
Oh, you know, what you have to put in it are the words that will get the proposal accepted,
Yeah.
which is not the same thing as what you're actually going to
Well,
say.
I think if you highlight that this is the only project of its kind in the country,
Yeah,
that's the government, that's a big thing.
yeah.
So,
So I will do it, and, you know, within 60 days from now, they'll tell us.
well, why don't we take a vote to allow Tony to apply as a member of our committee, and that way he can be like coming from an official, title position.
I don't know if that helps or not.
Well, but you could-
But fine, I mean, I put it, you submit an abstract, you submit a bio-sketch, so in the bio-sketch, I would say that, you know, I'm a member of this
Okay, well,
commission.
then, I mean, let's just take a vote, it can't hurt.
I
So-
mean, I think if you wanted to apply on behalf of the committee as well as yourself, then voting on it and approving it allows you to do that.
Yeah,
That-
you could decide whatever you
Yeah.
want.
So, shall I make the motion that we, the OSVTAC approve Tony to submit an abstract on behalf of the TAC?
Yeah. I second the motion.
Okay.
Seeing no members of the public, no public comment, is there further committee discussion before we take a vote? Okay, Secretary Chia?
Chair Giordani.
Yes?
Giordani, yes. Member Hague.
Yes.
Hague, yes. Member Wasserman.
Yes.
Wasserman, yes. Vote of 3-0, motion carries.
Okay, great. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other activities to report? Member Hague?
All my other stuff pretty much is on another agenda item, so.
Okay, I did attach one document to the agenda packet, and this is a statement that verified voting sent to the state of Georgia. And so Georgia kind of has an interesting issue right now where I think they used DRE machines in the last election, and there was a court case trying to challenge their use, and then the judge let the election go through, but the judge said that the next election you have to improve.
So these were no paper, no verified,
I
no
think
paper
so,
ballot.
yeah.
DRs.
And no black voters.
Yeah, so then, but kind of the advocates in the state, election integrity advocates were concerned because it looked like the state legislature or the Secretary of State, I'm not sure which, was leaning towards like an all ballot marking device system where I think maybe like the ballot printed had a barcode on it, but the barcode is used to tabulate the ballot as opposed to the human readable portion. So they were advocating for hand-marked paper ballots. And so verified voting came up with a statement giving a recommendation. And I think it's actually, a lot of what they're saying applies towards the open source system that San Francisco is going to develop.
So that's one of the issues that we
Yeah.
identified in our report is,
Exactly.
should we do this or that?
So they did a lot of thinking, and I actually like their reasoning. And they're basically saying that hand-marked paper ballots for as the default, but then have one ballot marking device at each precinct for voters with disabilities. And there's like cost reasons and election integrity reasons. So I thought just to have it on the record for us for the future.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
So, kind of on a related matter, there's one of the security consultants, Bruce Schneier, who's written a lot about computer security, including elections and all that. And he's had several essays that I thought were very well written, and also I think summarized the consensus, if you will, of the technical community and security experts. So I don't know if it's appropriate to make a reference to those or like submit something like this as, like a one or two page statement. Would that be something that we might want to make use of, or?
Well, I think as a start, we could include in the agenda packet for the next meeting, and then we can just, so that way it'll be permanently on our website.
Okay.
And if we want to draw from that.
So I'll kind of go back in my records and find those things, But there's also a statement from one of his books,
Okay.
or a chapter in the book that kind of summarizes a bunch of content, but,
What year was this stuff written? Do you remember?
well, 2018,
Oh, this year.
yeah.
Or last
So
year.
it's, and the essay was, I don't know, probably October, November, or something like that. So it's, in time with the election.
Yeah, because San Francisco's going to have to decide this stuff, right?
I mean, he doesn't really talk about hand-marked versus BMDs, but at least the whole concept of, human verified voting and why that's important, and not just because of computer bugs, but also, and things like auditing, just to give the public, one of the reasons is to have the public have confidence in the outcome of the election. And so I thought those are some good arguments as to,
Yeah.
why these things matter.
I'd be very interested in seeing that. I think it'd be good for everyone to see that.
And
So there's an October article by Bruce on West Virginia using internet voting. That's the most recent one that I saw here.
I subscribed to his newsletter, so it was in his newsletter, and then he put a link to, I think it was maybe published at the Atlantic or Washington Post or something like that. So,
Okay, well, great. So another thing I was going to mention here is that I didn't have a separate agenda item for CLAs like we did last time, and that's because I did meet with the city attorney's office and a couple other people within the city government, and they're still kind of, they haven't gotten back to me yet. So we don't.
okay, so basically your member report is that you met with them and they're thinking about the issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they say anything, just?
Well, I didn't, no,
Take our document and,
well, I didn't follow up to see if they've made any progress. So I just kind of waited.
so you just had a short meeting with them?
Well, I'm trying to remember, did I report on the meeting at the last tech meeting or not? Do you know?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Because I met with 3 people actually. It was
Oh, okay.
the commission's attorney and then also, well, actually 4 people. So from different departments. And it was more just to kind of bring everyone up to speed. And we didn't really get into, like one of the 2 issues were like the whole copyright issue, which we talked about. And then there's the second issue of like whether the CLA will be necessary. So, and they're gonna like think about both of those issues. So, yeah, there's nothing. So, yeah, so I guess that's all I have to report. Anything else? Okay, seeing no members of the public, no public comments. Next item.
Item 7, voting system security. Discussion and possible action regarding security as it relates to voting systems and software generally.
Okay, so Carl, you've been kind of the one that's been.
Right, so I noticed last meeting I promised to provide something, but I've been kind of either doing other work or on
Celebrating
holidays,
holidays, yeah.
or mostly working on the data converter, getting it running, so haven't really had a chance to get to the whole security
That's fine.
aspect and deal with the hardware devices and signatures and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's okay.
So, I should be able to do some of that by the next meeting, so I'll try to write something up and then send it in ahead of time so you can include it in the agenda packet.
Okay, great. And if you just want to bite off a chunk of it, if you don't able to be comprehensive, that's fine too.
Yeah, I'll at least get something going, even if I can figure out how to use my hardware keys, I'll do that, but otherwise I'll just sort of show like how we can take our repositories and make, add signatures to those.
Great, yeah, great. Okay, so, did you want to say anything on this item?
No.
Okay.
So I can just say one thing I did, ending the discussion of last month, I switched to using SHA 256 to log all the files, and that's what I've been using in the repositories I'm checking in.
For the converter?
I didn't put one in for the software, but I did for the data.
Okay. Okay, well, good. Okay, so,
I guess we should do it, we need to do it for the software as well.
yeah, well,
But maybe that's a piece of the whole overall package and process. So if I don't get to that next time, then you should get to it soon. Because, I mean, the whole idea is that you want to link your software that you're using. So you want to know if you create these outputs, what software are you using? So you need to have the signatures of everything, not just the input data and output data, but also, you know, which software we're using. So then I don't know about, I mean, there's some issues like, well, do we digitally sign the version of Python we're using, or that gets a little complicated, I think.
Yeah, I would focus on getting the software working, because there's a lot of ways we can do that. It might be helpful for Brandon here, but like, you could sign the.
I mean, if we're doing containers, then if it's, once we release everything in containers, then obviously just a signature on the container is,
Or image, yeah.
yeah, the container image.
Yeah. So, okay. Okay, well, good. So again, there's no members of the public, so no public comments. So let's move on to the next item.
Item 8, voting system component development. Discussion and possible action regarding OSVTAC developing and/or facilitating the development of one or more voting system component as a proof of concept.
Okay. So, do you want to say talk about this?
So, well, just one thing I noticed in the minutes, like Rowan was going to submit some issues, and I just wanted to look and see if there were any, but there weren't any, so.
Yeah.
And I guess I thought, oh no, I forgot to respond to it, but I think he just didn't get to do it.
Yeah, I know he was gone for a couple weeks, I think, so I'm not too surprised. But yeah, the ball's in his court on that one.
But I think all the issues were mostly things that are already resolved. It's just a matter of responding to it, because we don't really have documentation for.
Well, I mean, I think the issues are things that need to get done.
Yeah.
But we can work on them even if the issues aren't filed.
Right. That's true.
So
the main thing was I added a lot more code to. So I'm converting some of the DFM EMS data, and then I wrote software to match contest and candidate IDs by matching names, which is how you have to do it. And so I hadn't had a lot of time to work on it, but a fair amount. So anyway, I checked everything in today, and I have it working. So I found like issues like there's a contest with missing, actually there's an error in the Omni ballot sample ballots,
wow.
but it only applies to Congressional District 13, which has no registered voters. And then there's a bunch of missing contests in the DFM system. So I didn't notice them before in Smart Voter because those are all state candidate or state offices and state propositions. So I have to add more code to add missing things back into the data to fix the errors.
How are they able to run the election if there is missing information?
Well, they added it somewhere else.
Okay.
So
Is 13 the district that used to be in San Francisco and now no longer
I think
is?
it's that garbage dump in Alameda, or there's a chunk of Alameda.
No. I think it's Jackie Spears district.
No, there's no.
Which used to be in San Francisco and is no longer.
Well, there's a section of San Francisco County that's in the East Bay,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
there's
used
no
to be-
registered voters there. So there's one of the contest results shows 0 votes from the 2 candidates. So they just show them, but they're not really in the San Francisco election. But since part of the district physically is in San Francisco County, they have to report there are no voters and no turnout and no votes. So I guess that's in the official statement of votes.
Okay.
So anyway, I got all this software working today, finally, and I haven't gotten to the point now of linking everything together and fixing the errors and cleaning it up, but it's pretty close to doing that, so now we can produce a good JSON election definition and then having all the IDs match.
Wow, great. Excellent. Good, it's coming together. So there's a few things in this I want to mention. I haven't done any software work since the last meeting, but I did check into the idea of having like a separate working meetings where we could kind of dig in on this stuff without boring the people that aren't directly working on it. So the and what this deputy city attorney recommended was we could have basically just have an additional meeting and just state that attendance is optional, and that way it's not going to be like marked against anyone in the attendance chart. And that way, and then whoever wants to come can come. And we can.
And it's an open meeting.
It's an open meeting. It'll be noticed just like anything else. And then, I mean, I imagine Rowan would want to come.
So should we do that between now and our next meeting?
Yeah, I
At
think
least
so.
once, maybe to
Try it out.
maybe to put all this stuff together
Yeah.
and start.
Just work out any kinks.
Yeah. So the other thing that I forgot that I should have bugged you about putting in the agenda. Last time I had done an analysis or a survey of all different counties in California election results for sample appearance and also measured the performance and size. So with some notes, so we could have discussed that.
Would that be a separate topic, or would it be under this?
It's just, I mean, one, it's just a reference for people to look at, but there's also like just some performance
Well,
issues in it that might be relevant for project recommendations.
Well, when we get to number 9, let's remember to get back to that. We can talk about
Okay,
how to phrase that.
I mean, unless you want to talk about it now.
Well, if it's not related to development, we should probably discuss it under number 9.
Well, I mean, it's samples of, I don't know if you want to look at it, it's online.
Well, what I mean is if it's under the topic of component development, then we don't need to have, we're allowed to discuss it here.
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, it's related to the results reporter.
Oh, okay, so you're just saying you
So
wanted to,
what I did is
you
I-
wanted to send something out to me, Zoe.
Well, I know last time you mentioned that we could have included it in the agenda.
Oh, I see.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, if you just want to look at it now, or we can look at it later.
Oh, like right now on my computer?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, okay. Where is it?
It's under the, let's see, let me find it. It's under the sample data repo.
Are you able to look at this stuff too, Tony?
Yeah,
Okay.
where are we going?
It's OSV sample data.
It's under GitHub, or GitHub account, organizational account,
GitHub/OSV.
OSVTAC. So there's the viewable portion in here?
Let's see. Okay, it's, if you go to OSVTAC's, OSV sample data, and the November 2018, there's sample survey.md.
Okay.
This is the OSV results reporter.
Right.
So summarize, what is sort of like the important, what are you kind of comparing here? Like,
Well, I gave links so you can just click on them and then you can see like how they style their results.
how many different
And
formats are there?
well,
Like
I don't
10?
know how many there are there. Yeah, like 15 maybe. So there's, some counties have the same thing and I only give it once.
Okay, so, wow, so there's actually quite a few different backends being used then.
Right, and you can see like Clarity is one that several counties are using, but like it took 21 seconds to load the page.
So are these other ones like Santa Cruz and are those just homegrown?
No, I think a lot of them are like DIMS, the software that counts things, has some sort of results report. So that's why they're kind of common things.
But you
Several, including San Francisco, are rolled their own.
But did you include more than one DIMS example here?
Well, there's different formats even within the same one, so that there will be. So like I called it GEMS, 2-column PDF. GEMS is I guess it's not, I'm not sure if it's owned by DIMS or what the relation is, but GEMS is a common ballot counting software.
I don't think I'm in the right place. I was in OSVTAC.
So if you go
GitHub.
if you go here, sample data
Yeah. Oh, that's in the,
under GitHub's.
yeah.
Oh. So I clicked on, remember when I said clarity?
I
Took
don't know,
21
I'm looking at
seconds.
these two pin repositories.
So you need, I guess you have to click the desktop version. It's kind of annoying. And you'll see the full list.
So about a minute and a half ago, I clicked on clarity. It just came up now. So it took longer than 21 seconds.
You know,
Well, with the city Wi-Fi.
I don't know if this would probably help, but maybe it might be nice to have just a table you can kind of glance down and see who's faster or slower.
Yeah, I just did this by copy and paste quick, so.
Okay, well, so let's, in the minutes for this meeting, let's have a link to this so people can find it easily. And then,
Do you want me to send you the link?
yeah,
by
you can just
email?
send it to Don. So, okay, so,
So the main thing is that if, for whoever wants to do like styles or, get ideas on how different things look, that's a resource.
oh, were you able to also look at the webpage that I mentioned to for the eligible voters? Did you see that data?
Yes, and I included that in the download, and it's in the repo.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
So it basically only has,
Was that in
the only thing for eligible voters is for counties as a whole. But there's other voter registration summaries that give a breakdown by major political districts. That would include things like cities and I think school districts and the legislative districts.
Okay. Was that available in a structured format? Or just?
It was XLS, and I think I converted it. Let me see.
So
Yeah, so there's XLS files,
Right,
and
we'll
then
find
I,
this page, but-
Yeah, no, yeah, Sally's,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, I'm on the right page.
if you go, let's see, where was that? If you go to the same directory that the sample survey is in, there's a directory called VR. I don't know if I put the readme.
The virtual reality, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, right. It's fun. There's a MD file in that,
You really formatted this stuff nicely.
and
Yeah.
so well, actually, I long ago, because I do so much with election data, I have a little program that makes these, that can print TSV files, summary stuff.
Oh, did you also store these files directly in the repo? They are, okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're here, yes.
They're in the repo.
Yeah, well, great. That's
So,
useful.
And so I'll include, I'm not sure, I didn't get to, I think, including it in the election definition data or results definition data, but I'll modify the scripts to be able to read the data stored in that repo. So if you go back up to just the OSV sample data for 2018, so I have a PDF that's a download of all the sample ballot PDFs for all ballot types. The EMS is the election management system data. And I'm sort of in the process of, well, I downloaded it all of what we have and what's available, and then I'm running software to analyze it. And what I haven't done yet is all the cleanup, some of the cleanup I copied from my other work.
Analyzing what specifically again?
Well, it'll unpack and convert the DFM data. So contest definitions, precinct definitions, district definitions.
Oh, so this is unrelated to the PDFs then?
All the PDFs are just, there's, what the actual ballot looks like. And I haven't written any software to try to extract PDFs. I think I might need to do that because I haven't found the correct candidate rotation code. It didn't match in the Omni ballot data, right? So the way that I've done it before is I convert PDF files and I match candidate names. And that way I can determine which contests are in which ballot types by which candidate.
Okay. Just for the record, it's Member Cattell arrived at 6:55 p.m. during agenda item number 8. So that's fine. So well, good work.
So anyway, BTPDF is just a sort of repository for reference material that's downloaded. So in the data converter software, there's code that does the downloads for an election. And so it can update with whatever the most recent data is, or for future elections.
Okay.
It'll download it, and then, so there's downloading software, then there's data conversion software, and then data analysis software that generates the source. And then the latest one I did was to match up IDs across.
And that's all in the converter repository?
Yes,
Okay.
so there's the other repository just contains Python scripts.
Okay. Okay, so Member Cattell, we've been moving pretty quickly through this meeting. And one thing we just mentioned earlier is the idea of having like a working meeting with optional attendance. And so it wouldn't be, not all members would have to go if they didn't want
I think that would be helpful. And I also realized that I forgot to actually create the issues.
to. That's,
Yeah, we did, that was an issue that was addressed.
Okay.
Or we just noticed
we
that.
assign more work to you, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, no, I mean, I should do the work, I have just forgotten to.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. So,
Yeah, and the other thing that we mentioned just a little bit before you were here was the page in the OSVTAC sample data under 2018-1106. There's something called sample survey.md. That's it has links to a lot of different styles of results reporting. And also, it has some statistics about the data size and load times.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember you gathering this information before.
Like, well, just for fun, I clicked on the first one, clarity, and it took about 2 minutes, I think, for the page to load.
well, that's the time to beat.
Yeah, well, it's not too hard.
It also has some other weird things, like the URL that you see in the bar is a temporary URL that's good for only one thing. So if you want to link to the results page, you can't use the link that shows up when you view the page because they redirect to whatever the current version of the results are at that particular
Oh, yeah.
time. And so,
So they're building the page on the fly and,
yeah, so that's why,
That's
not
why-
only that, but they even build the URL on the fly.
yeah, well, that's common. Not an
So,
election report,
Yeah,
but
but there's no, there's no way to link to the
Yeah.
results. They don't even have a link.
But
So you have to go to
many
the county
consumer
page to
sites
get the
work that
link.
way, yeah.
Okay, so, and if we have a separate meeting, we'll have more time to discuss this stuff. Can I just ask, like, for the people that would like to attend a meeting like that, would a weekend work, like on a Saturday? For people can maybe work on
Saturday, yes. Like my Saturdays are kind of a little messed up, but Sunday.
Sundays are probably better, yeah.
Well, what are the times that people can make?
I'm free this coming Sunday.
Well, so, let me
Yeah.
be more
Okay.
specific.
Oh,
Like weekday during the day, evening, or weekend? Like-
I'm fine with either evenings or during the day and the weekends, but I just have to be available that day, and that's.
Okay, so
Nice.
Sundays during the day, is that?
Yeah, because, well, it's like the next Saturdays are kind of booked up.
That's fine.
So,
That's fine.
but I think I'm more free on Sundays.
Okay, and then as far as location, should we just meet like at a cafe or something, or what?
Someplace with internet access.
Yeah, would you be okay coming up to SF? or-
I think so.
Okay. Okay,
No use having several people come down to the same table.
yeah, or meeting halfway, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Caltrain's weekend service is not pretty terrible right now.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, it's
There's
plus
lots of
now.
meetings.
It's not very good during the week either.
No, the weekend is.
did you say this Sunday or the
I-
following?
So I'm free this immediately coming Sunday, but I'm not free this Sunday after that.
Actually, Sunday is not gonna work because
Oh, is that,
we
that's not even
need
legal?
72 hours notice.
Right, so let me look at my calendar rather than trying to do it from memory. So this coming Sunday will be the 13th, but we said it's questionable with like notice periods. The 20th, I'm out of town, but the 27th I would be free.
Okay. Carl, is the 27th?
27th should be okay.
Okay. Or we could meet on a weeknight earlier than that.
Yeah, that's fine too. I'm out the whole week from like 18 through to 26.
So what was that, the 21st?
27th, Sunday.
27th on Sunday.
Oh, 27th.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's just do that for now.
Okay. We can also do another one later, and that one can be on a weekday.
oh, that's good, because January 20, I have booked, so. But the 27th, that'll work.
Yeah, another topic that I was gonna mention, is I think it would be, so one of the things that I learned at the last commission meeting or asked about was the status of the next voting system. And the contract hasn't been signed yet. I think it has to go to the Board of Supervisors, but I think when it is signed, I think we're gonna wanna see if we can maybe get like samples of what the data will be like for those under the new system.
That would be good.
Yeah, so that way it might be easier to work with. Carl, I don't know if you have the energy and interest and time, maybe you can even like explore other jurisdictions that are already using it. I think like Santa Fe, New Mexico is using, it's the new Dominion system basically. So anyone that's using the new Dominion system.
Well, the problem is that most places don't post any data.
Well, if you know of somewhere in the US that does,
Oh, well, are there any other in California?
maybe, I just don't.
I think let me see if I have it printed here.
So So I don't know if this is related, but it might interest people and also you, Carl. I discovered recently over the break that South Carolina publishes a lot of ballot image data with like actually all of they publish basically CVRs of complete ballots. And so you have CVRs of every single contest, but also like correlation across. And so people have there are like academic papers that are like, do South Carolinians vote along partisan lines when they vote on ballot measures about topic X, that kind
Was that a deliberate?
So is this
I'm
from
not
the
sure.
Secretary of State, or where did you find
of.
it?
I believe so. I meant to explore details of this more deeply and actually bring it into the meeting and like write a reference to it into our recommendations document, because I didn't think I could make it today. I pushed that off until next month. So next month I will prepare something and I will be more informed about that, which is kind of bleeding into the next item, so I'll show it.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else on this topic?
So one of the things that we had talked about is kind of organizing like our demo repo, so it like has the other stuff as like sub repositories.
Yeah, so I was thinking, and that was one of Rowan's tasks, but I was thinking we can do that when we meet together.
Okay.
Because it's kind of easy, but, or Rowan could just do it.
I guess there's
himself.
not really much to discuss on that. I mean, it's kind of a technical detail, so
It's technical.
that you spend a lot of time now.
Yeah, I'm sorry for not getting any of my tasks done.
That's okay.
I was busy, then I went to visit my family, and I had a whole week between coming back from that and like work starting again, so I was planning to do all the stuff then, and I got sick and was just out the entire week.
Okay, that's all right.
But,
So just one thing maybe to mention, what I started doing, so I wrote a 1 or 3 line little shell script to run the command, and I stored that in the data repository. So you just run that shell script, and then I'm using relative linking, so it goes .. /.. So I assume that the source is in it uses the .. notation to find the script in a parallel
Yeah,
repo. So if you think that's a good idea, I'll just keep doing that.
yeah, well, these are the things we could discuss
Okay.
in more detail when we're all together, because we don't want to get too down in the weeds. Okay, so are there any other like sort of higher level issues around this, kind of the side technical level? Okay, so then let's take public comment. There's no members of the public, so there is none. So anything else before we move on? And then we'll schedule some kind of a special meeting. Okay, Secretary Chen?
Item 9, topics for future discussion. Discussion and possible action regarding topics for future discussion.
so I mentioned previously that I will bring to the next meeting something about the stuff that I found for South Carolina. Another thing that I found over the holidays.
Would that be a separate item, do you think, or under one?
No, it'll be part of my member reports thing, I think, but I just want to give it as a heads up. Another thing that I will do that can probably be shortened in item somewhere, you should do it when I submit the patch for it, you should figure out where it goes, but the letter that's here in item 6 from verified voting, I wasn't here when you discussed it, but I see the letter in the agenda packet. It is a letter that I haven't read fully yet, but it seems to endorse hand-marked paper ballots over ballot marking devices. And what they don't mention, but what did come out in December is some people actually did a study on the November election in Tennessee to see how well people are able to verify the receipts that they get. Like basically the exact issue that I talked about earlier last year.
Is this like DeMillo, Richard DeMillo?
I forget who the other co-authors were. The only co-author whose name I recognize is Marilyn Marks.
I think it's the same.
Okay, so it's the same study that we're
Leonard
thinking
DeMillo from way back.
I don't know.
of. But yeah, they did the study that I would like our recommendations document to reference, because we spend a lot of time talking about on-market devices, so I'm gonna, I have already read the study, but I'm gonna write something up for the recommendations document, and then I'll bring that to.
I think the verified voting letter was sort of used that in the background.
Yeah, I, skimming it, I don't see a direct reference, but I'm sure that it was written with that in mind.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the timing is not a coincidence.
Well, we have a member of the public.
Hello.
So Jim, we're on the last item number 9. So we haven't taken public comment yet. But
I have a comment. Sorry I'm late, I was in Sacramento.
no problem. So do you think that would be? Oh, so you're saying when you
Yeah,
send that to me, I can decide?
I think
if it's
when,
on-
I will write a patch, and that patch will apply to the section of the recommendations document, and I think what you've normally done, when what happens is create an agenda item with like the name of the section.
Yeah.
So we can just do that again, and then I can talk briefly about this.
Yeah, actually, one of the things I forgot to mention in my member reports is that we did bring the recommendations document up to speed with what we voted on. And thank you, member Coutinho,
Oh, yes, that's right.
for doing all the work of
We worked on that.
preparing all that stuff. So,
Yeah, and I'm about to create more work for myself there, I guess.
Okay, so are there any other topics? I know we didn't do the CLA today because we're still waiting on the attorneys to get back to me. We're gonna do security again. Hopefully we'll be able to meet Sean and perhaps Michael at a future meeting. But also, if anything occurs too between now and the next meeting, just you can let me know and we can add it. So let's take public comments. We'll take public comment right now. Anything you'd like to talk about? Yeah.
We have a member of the public.
Thursday, January 24th, there will be, I'll just read this. The Little Hoover Commission will hold a business meeting beginning at 9:30 a.m. in conference room 175, located on the first floor of 925 L Street in Sacramento. Briefly, this is about 6 months old, but I believe the Little Hoover Commission is set up sort of like civil
Grand jury.
commission to go investigate things. And so now they're doing elections, and I think it was last summer, and I didn't go because busy and I didn't take it seriously. And the landscape has changed. I'll finish the paragraph. At its business meeting, the commission will review and possibly adopt its biennial report to the governor and legislature and discuss a draft letter reporting on voting equipment security. The commission will also consider items for studies, blah, blah, blah. The website would be lhc.ca.gov, if you want to look it up.
What was that again? LHC?
LHC.
Not to be confused with the other LHC.
I'm sorry?
Not to be confused with the other LHC,
Which I
the
don't know.
large hadron collider.
Oh, that one, yeah. Not a
LHC what?
lhc.ca.gov.
Little Hoover Commission.
Little Hoover Commission, yeah. So, and somebody sent me an email about this. And I just got back from Sacramento, I was exhausted, and they said, are you going? I was kidding. But having the chance to recoup and think about it, we have a new governor. And this letter is going to him, among others. And to me, personal opinion, I'm not an economist, we're headed into a recession. And a year from now, the money isn't going to be there. Because we need to do it now. So I hopefully us and others can convince them to insert something saying, you gotta fund open source now. And explain why, et cetera, et cetera. The governor, I think, is more tech-friendly than the previous one. And so I would encourage people to consider going there and putting in their 2 bits about it, or for $8 million.
This is January 24th, you said?
24th.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
9:30 a.m.
Yeah, got it. Voting equipment security.
Yeah, I can't make it, but I will read out the summary of what they say they will do.
I haven't seen the letter yet, I just.
The Little Hoover Commission is reviewing voting equipment security in California. During the course of its voter participation study, the commission determined that it wanted to learn more about how the state ensures that all Californians' votes count, particularly in light of Department of Homeland Security reports that foreign operatives in 2016 had scanned the state's data networks. In early 2018, Secretary of State Alex Padilla pointed to aging voting systems as one of the gravest threats to election integrity. Governor Brown has proposed in the 2018-19 budget, so the current fiscal year, $134 million to provide counties with about half the funding they will need to pay for replacement of their voting equipment. In addition, the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2018 provides California with up to $34 million in HAVA election security funds to update equipment and make security improvements. In this study, the Little Hoover Commission will review voting equipment security in California to better understand the strengths and vulnerabilities of the current systems, the policies, processes, and procedures around their use, and plans to use available funding to update this equipment. Additionally, the Commission will hear from security and elections experts about the implementation of best practices in California and opportunities to further improve voting equipment security.
Is there a public comment opportunity?
And there's an email contact and a phone number.
Yeah,
Is there an agenda?
Yes. But,
Oh, here's an agenda.
but it's kind of non-specific. But apparently there's a draft report on voting equipment security for
Yeah.
review and consideration.
Well, I think this would be good for Trent's group to be.
I'm gonna write it, so, yeah.
Yeah, and I, on the same topic, I know Governor Newsom, his first act as governor was to prioritize tech procurement.
Prioritize what?
Tech procurement, government technology procurement.
Oh,
So I think he really wants to kind of move the state forward.
He released his budget proposal today as well, and I haven't looked at the election relevant stuff yet, but there's a 280-page PDF that I have on my phone that I'm going to read later.
it's $200 billion.
Oh, the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got money this year. But if you, 5 years ago, they didn't, and if you wanted to ask them for a postage stamp, they wouldn't give it to you. So this now.
Yeah, okay.
And there is an agenda. It doesn't mention whether there is public comment. However, they have a closed session. It sounds like there's some vague noises here that make it sound like maybe the Brown Act applies. So maybe there will be public comment.
Who are the members of the LHC? Are they state legislators?
I didn't.
Yeah. Members of the public will have an opportunity to make comments about commission agenda items during the business meeting. Yeah, so it's just like a standard.
No, what I meant was, are the members of the...
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was still on your previous question, but let me see if I can find out who the members are.
Or is this like a blue ribbon panel?
No, because the Little Hoover Commission has been there forever.
Well, they might appoint people.
So the first guy is an ex-assembly member. The second guy is a lawyer and on like a UC advisory committee.
Okay, so they're not legislators.
They're not, no. No, they seem to be mostly like lawyers in private practice or ex-assembly people.
Okay.
Or nonprofit directors, that kind of.
Okay, well, good. Thanks for the comments. Yeah.
Makes my trip worth it.
Okay, any other suggested topics before we adjourn?
So,
Yeah,
Roan, do you know if that was under the audit data in South Carolina?
Oh, the thing that they did?
Yeah.
I don't know, except that I had meant to dig into this more and I haven't yet, but I saw a tweet and then started digging a little bit where they said someone had announced that like South Carolina makes its data available, they make it available in a very annoying format. And so he had done the work to reformat it as like a JSON file where like every ballot is one entity and the whole thing is in a big ballot. So, or it's like grouped by precinct and all that kind of stuff. Like, so they said South Carolina published all this data, it's really great, the format is terrible. Here is a reasonable format that you can actually use. And then look at these cool papers that have come out of like previous data releases. And that was sort of all I found, and I haven't dug in deeper yet, but I will for next month.
Okay. I did find I found the data and format was typical. Which is better than usual, but it's not that convenient.
Someone then, so this guy then went and republished it as like a more accessible format.
okay, so, looks like there are no further,
So I think as the last thing, I'd like us to thank Don for all of his hard work over the period that
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
come in.
Thank you, Tony.
You know, I find his assistance to be invaluable and and I'm amazed at the integrity of the minutes, which is certainly a task far beyond my ability. So I'd like to see that we as a committee thank him for his service. I wish him well in his future endeavors, whatever they may be.
I don't have many future endeavors, I'm just trying to relax with this already.
You can never tell what will happen.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I wish you a lot of luck with your future realization.
Thanks, bro.
you're always welcome to stop by.
I'll sure try.
Yeah,
As military as I might be.
you're moving though, aren't you?
Moving, when you say moving?
Moving, are you going to be here in San Francisco area?
I'm still here, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for your hard work. It's really hard dealing with this city. I should take that off.
Okay, I don't know if it's, okay, so, well then it's 7:22 PM.
I have one final remark if I may, because you asked if assembly members and stuff were on this committee, and it turns out they actually are. Assembly member Bill Quirk, who has written previous election bills,
Friend.
and is on the committee. State Senator, the Little Hoover Commission, yep.
We know.
State Senator Richard Roth is on the committee. And there was another, Assembly member Chad Mays is on the committee. It seems like some of the seats are appointed by the governor and then some are appointed by the Speaker of the Assembly and stuff like that. There's also people who on the committee or on the commission, who I suspect were sitting assembly members or senators when they were appointed, and just the terms haven't expired.
I wonder if there are any San Francisco residents on
Not that I can tell, because it says where all these people live, and the closest thing is Bill Quirk, who is from Hayward.
there. Interesting.
But I will go through all of them. I don't think it's on anybody. It does say that.
Okay, so, anything else before we adjourn? Okay, so it's 7:23 PM, and the meeting is now adjourned.